Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lessons with Mark. As you can see, I'm dressed quite smart today. I bought a new jumper. In these videos, what I'm going to be doing is talking about a topic. In this topic, we're going to be talking about pots and pans. This one may be one of those ones that gets a bit of, not shtick, but you know, people will just be a bit, oh mate, you're going to die. So, first things first, I'll show you my pans. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm going to say, very simply, 3 types. So the 3 main pans that I use, okay, I've got these non-stick pans here. Now these are from Pro Cook. They don't make them anymore, which is a bit of a shame, but these were the Pro Cook professional anodized pans. And this one, I don't even know. I've had this about 20 years, and as you can see, it's still there. Now the thing that people get with non-stick pans is if you heat them too high, then they worry about, what is it, the PFHE, toxic chemicals and all of this thing. I think the number from Google is telling me 260 degrees. Now that is pretty hot if you ask me. If you're just going to be doing general cooking and you want to do a bit of sauteing, all of that kind of stuff, non-stick pans are the most convenient, easy things to use. I use these all the time, and I hardly ever use my cast iron or stainless steel, but I'll talk about those in a minute. So if I'm doing an omelette or anything like that, I'll always use this at home. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm 38 years old. I've been cooking most of my life, and I have got no ill effects or side effects from cooking with a pan. Especially this one here, which is completely scratched, which I've had for about 20 years. I still cook in it and I'm totally fine. But if you're worried about chemicals and all that kind of thing, I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you, you make the decision. The other pans that I mainly use are these ones here. So these are from Vogue, these two, as you can see, in varying batteredness, but I carry these things all my life. These are stainless steel saute pans, Vogue. They're the brand from Nisbets. Every restaurant will have these. They're just like a classic pan. They conduct heat well, they can take an absolute pounding, and they can go in the oven because they've got a metal handle. Saute pans, varying in sizes, for tossing, shimmying things, warming up sauces. They're absolutely brilliant. I love them. Cheap, cheerful, never let you down. This pan here, which I've started recently using, is from a brand called Made In. It's actually really lovely. It's a stainless steel pan. It sits really nice and flat. Now with these kind of pans, you see a lot of chefs using them because they are chefs and they love it. But when home cooks start using these, they get very frustrated because things stick. Now, when you're using a stainless steel pan, you have to warm it up and it will start to create its non-stick layer, or whatever you want to call it. So the way of testing is you warm your pan up, you chuck a little bit of water on there and it will start to bead across the top. Then you can chuck in a little bit of your lube and cook. Now these are brilliant for getting up to a ripping hot temperature. Remember what I said about non-stick pans? 260 degrees is where they kind of start leaching their chemicals if you get weirded out about it. These pans you can get absolutely roasting, great for steaks, great for doing everything, your general cooking, but you can get these up to a really, really high temperature without them buckling or anything like that. This here is a cast iron pan, or what we like to call as a Dutch oven. I use these for, well, I use this one for making my bread, my sourdough bread. I don't ever cook on a cast iron pan just because I've got induction and I've cracked my pan. Let me show you. But this here, I put it on the induction hob. I turned what I thought was on low, but it wasn't on low. And then it warmed up so quickly on a certain point, it absolutely just went bang and snapped. So this is another reason that you need to figure out what pans you want to use, is depending what kind of cooker you would have. I, in an ideal world, would have a gas hob, but I can't have gas in here and I haven't got a gas cooker, so I've got induction. So using this on an induction is kind of a fruitless exercise. It doesn't suit me. And that is the main point that I want you to take away with pans, is use a pan or use a pan that suits your style or your situation of cooking, okay? So cast iron, absolutely brilliant, gets up to a really high temperature, holds its heat, but doesn't suit my style of cooking. Stainless steel pans I'll use because it can go on the induction hob and you can stick it in the oven, and I love them and they're great. But for me, I'll always verge towards a non-stick pan just for ease and all that kind of stuff. I've actually got a couple of the Hexclad pans at home which got gifted, hashtag gifted. They're nice, but it's just a non-stick pan for me. So one thing I suppose we should kind of quickly talk about is, with a stainless steel pan, you don't necessarily need to season it for it to go non-stick. You just need to warm it up and use a little bit of lube to keep it going. Stainless steel, actually got one in the oven. Stainless steel, cast iron. So every now and then when I get bored at the studio, I do end up just doing a couple of things like seasoning my pans. Now, seasoning a pan, is a very important exercise, especially when doing cast iron, because it's a raw material. If it's not seasoned, it will start to rust, but by seasoning it, you also get your wonderful non-stick coating. So this is another pan from Made In. It's a stainless steel handle with a cast iron bus. To season, it's very, very simple. All you need to do when seasoning a pan is you're just building up a layer of non-stick using an oil. So you can use a veg oil if you're fancy, you can use like a beef tallow or anything like that. But you just basically warm that, make sure it's clean, make sure it's dry. So if you just give it a little wipe out with a wet cloth, get any little dusty bits off, give it a dry, put it in the oven so it's dry, and then put a bit of oil in. Now you don't want a massive thick amount of oil, otherwise it's going to go all sticky and not really seasoned. And then all you do from there is just wipe it round, like this. So you've got a nice thin coating, you can do it around the outside, use up that extra oil. And then all I do is I put it on the rack in the oven upside down like that, so any excess oil, which there shouldn't be a lot of, will drip out. And then you just continue this process. So I basically put it in there 2 to 3 minutes, and then it will just kind of like keep building up the layers. So once you've done with cooking, it should form a non-stick base, but you don't want to wash it with anything abrasive. You basically can just give it a sort of a good wipe out and then just make sure it's dry, and just carry on re-seasoning it as and when you feel like it needs it, but build up those layers and that is it. I only season this one for George when he comes and cooks here, because I know he likes a cast iron pan, and I know he's coming over in a couple of days, so I'm seasoning it up for him just so it looks like he thinks I cook with these things. So there we go, there's my 2 pence on pans. If you do want me to answer any other questions or talk about a topic, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you all soon.